So, my first question, what are your main responsibilities at AFS?
So I'm the program director for Marin Transitional Age Youth. And we run county contracted programs for current and former foster youth, mostly housing programs. So my responsibilities include supervising a team of four caseworkers. Um, I'm the liaison between AFS and Marin County. I'm responsible for managing our, financials. I mean, accounting does a lot of that, but I work really closely with them to say, I think we should invest here. The kids need this. How can we get it to them? Um, and I'm responsible for basically running all of the county funded programs that we have. Um, and part of that also comes with being on call. I'm on call kind of always. Like I don't leave my phone on in the night, but um at any moment if a case one of my staff need help with a client, I'm there to respond. Um and a lot of our young people love to just go up the chain of command and call me all the time anyway. So yeah, I think those are kind of the bigger main responsibilities that I have.
Amazing. What led you to work in this field?
I think probably because my mom is a clinical, well, my mom's retired now, but she was a clinical child psychologist and when I was growing up, she worked as the child psychologist for a children's shelter, emergency placement shelter in Woodland. Um, it's in Yolo County. And she probably told me too much about what the kids were experiencing and what had, led them to being taken away from their parents and or their, whoever was watching them and put into an emergency shelter. And so from a very young age, I just kind of knew that kids were in foster care, and that not everyone's life was as good as mine. And I think that like her sense of sort of purpose made me feel always like my job when I grow up should be about helping others and being of service to your community. So social work goes hand in hand with the idea. Um, so I got my master's in social work. I also have my master's in education and my teaching credential. So I kind of vacillated between teaching and being a social worker, and come to find out they're actually very similar. They're not that different. If you're a teacher, you just are a social worker. Uh, and I love working for AFS. This program I'm in is incredibly special. There's nothing like it. So, I was a caseworker in 2013 for the program I now run. And I left and I came back as the program director because I spent time other places and I'd realized just like how incredibly special Marin Tay is. So yeah, that's kind of how I ended up here.
I want to follow up. So you mentioned that you think I'd love to hear more about what is happening at the Marin, particularly in the Transition Age Youth Program that is so unique and special that's not
Mm-hmm.
found anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Marin Tay or Transitional Age Youth. So we have a housing program for non-minor dependents. So those are our extended foster care kids in Marin, and their ages 18 to 21. And then we have our transitional housing program plus, THP plus. And this is for former foster youth. So they're not in extended foster care. They're too old now, but they still need a lot of support. And especially they need subsidized rent, especially in Marin County. So we have that program too. And then now we have our Section 8 Foster Youth Initiative, FYI, voucher program, which is fantastic. And that's through the county as well. Um, that we contract with them for case managers. And that is for anyone who was ever in foster care, even for one day. If you were in foster care for one day, you qualify for this program. And you just have to apply before you turn 25. So we also have our independent living skills program, and that is for 16 to 21-year-olds. So basically, if you are between the ages of 16 and 25, we have support for you, we have housing for you, we have um, case managers for you that can help you with all of the things somebody would need who don't have, mom and dad able to help them with those things. So we help you get your driver's permit, your driver's license. We help you apply for jobs. We help you apply to college. We help you get financial aid for college. We help you um, with anything that you need, like literally anything. We help you get food stamps. We help you when you had a fight with your boyfriend. I mean, the gamut is so big of what we can help you with. And I think what makes Marin taste so special that Patty Calla is my predecessor and she was my former supervisor. And I just thought what she was doing was so special because she had this vision that Marin Tay, as an AFS agency, like we would be a home base for anyone in foster care who who was in foster care on their 18th birthday. So these are young people who did not get reunified with their parents, right? These are people who did not get adopted. These are the young people who bounced around foster homes or were maybe in a lot of kids from juvenile hall or kiddos who were like kind of in the bigger places like St. Vincent de Paul or Hannah Center for Boys. And they turn 18 and they still need a lot of help, right? So her, her philosophy was treat every young person and make every decision for them if you were their bio parent. If this was your kid, what would you do? So that means we don't write anybody off. We never say, you can't use us, you can't use our services. We never, so it doesn't matter if they, get kicked out of our program for not following the rules, they can come back. They can try again in 6 months. We'll still be there for them. They need a bus pass, we got you. You need to talk about something that happened, come talk to us. You graduated the program because now you turn 25 or what have you. We still want you to come to our group outings. We still want you to come to our meetings. You can still come in the office and get a snack. Like we are there for you no matter what. And the idea of these young people pretend that they're your kids, not pretend, but like really have that feeling like you're responsible for them and you care for them in a real way, really changes what we do. Versus this is who we're responsible for. Okay, now they're not on our roster. Bye. We'll pass them to another provider or something. We don't do that. So we have young people who, I was a caseworker in 2013. I just saw him and his kids, and they came with us to Alcatraz on last Wednesday because he's still connected to our program. I think that's really, really special and beautiful. And I wanted to, I didn't find, I've never found anything like that before.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think it's helpful to highlight, as you mentioned, that just because someone's over 18, doesn't mean that there isn't support and help available for them. I think sometimes there's maybe a misconception that as soon as you turn 18, like that's it. And good luck. And that's fortunately no longer the case.
Yeah, it really isn't. And I actually think the part people quite maybe don't understand is that just because you're 21 and you're out of foster care, I don't know a single 21-year-old who would be able to just totally make it completely on their own. I don't know about you, but when I was 21, I was not like a fully developed, responsible, all-knowing adult. I still needed a lot of support from my family and my friends, and so they're. our 21-year-olds also need almost the same level of help. And a lot of them at this point, because if you're in foster care, by the time you're 18, 70% of foster youth have fathered or mothered a child. So you probably have your own kids at this point now. So it's not just you that that is trying to make it in the world, but now you're trying to provide for your children. So we take in, if you have families, if you have a partner that you are parenting with, they can live with you. We're really flexible and understandable about that. We understand that, you might need your baby mama to live with you because you want that relationship with, you want a two-parent household. So it gets complicated, and 21-year-olds also need the help too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so my next question for you, what would you say are the three best things about your job?
Mm. The first best thing is the young people that we work with because they're so fun. I think if you want to work with K youth, transitional age youth, the most important thing is if you like this age group. Like if you don't like this age group, probably go somewhere else. I love this age group. They're so funny, always keeping me on my toes, always making me laugh, like really smart. Just they're really fun, interesting people, and I really enjoy spending time with them. I love when young people just come in and they hang out in my office. I love, doing fun stuff with them. I love talking to them. So I love the clients. The clients are fantastic. Then the staff. I love my staff. I think we're a great team. We have a really great flow. We also like to joke around. I mean, it's a definitely like a positive environment. Feels good to come into the office. It feels nice to have staff meetings, a lot of laughing, sometimes tears together. So the staff. Um, and then I think the third thing, which I don't not putting these in any order, but I think the mission of the agency that AFS genuinely like, of course, the caseworkers on the front lines, but down to like the accounting staff truly care about helping kids, that they want to help kids and families. So, our accounting department will like bend over backward and do crazy things for me to be able to help kids in ways that make their life hard. Like I say, I really want to help this kid do this thing. How can we get the money to pay for it? Um, and they understand like this is in the best interest for our young person, so we'll make it happen. So I think just the dedication to the mission of helping children and families that I feel agency wide. I also think that's really special about AFS. I don't think that's you find that everywhere.
I bet. So on the flip side, what would you say are the three toughest things about your job?
Well, this job, we call it heart work, right? I mean, you need a lot of soft skills, you need training, to do this job. And you also just need to know, you need to know a lot of the resources available so you can connect your clients, but it's hard work, right? You have to genuinely have a real relationship with each kid. And I call them kids, but they're not kids, but they're kind of kids. Um, because I very much believe that the relationship is the vehicle for change for all of our kids in our program. So if you're not using your heart, you're not doing it right, and it's painful. I mean, it hurts your heart when, a kid is being trafficked sexually. It hurts your heart when a kid goes to jail that you really love. Um, it hurts your heart when one of your kiddos stays in a DV relationship. I mean, these are all really, really awful things that our kids experience all the time. And it can feel heavy. Um, that's kind of my only answer.
No, but it makes complete sense. And I'm maybe slightly in another note. What would you say are some of the biggest misconceptions about um, the your clients that maybe you think would be good to address?
Hmm. Yeah, I think people who want to work or help, like in Marin, there's a lot of really well-meaning, affluent people who really would like to help current and former foster youth, teenagers and young people. And I think you need to really educate yourself on what complex trauma is. Um, because the things that make complex trauma different from, PTSD or sort of a classic uh, trauma disorder is that they you will see that young people with complex trauma have a really negative self-image. Um, they also have difficulty in personal relationships and they have a pretty extreme inability to regulate themselves. So those three things together kind of explain the story of the behaviors that we see um, from our young people. So, what might look like laziness, what might look like defiance or aggression, or um, frankly, just being really rude. Um, what might look like someone who just has no interest in working with you, or someone who drops the ball, or someone who just can't get it together. It's all explained by complex trauma. And again, that's why the relationship that they have with all the staff is the most important thing to getting them to actually use these resources that these very well-meaning people are offering to them. Um, yeah, I hope that explained it enough.
Yeah, I think so. That definitely makes sense. You've touched on some of these already, but is there, if you think back to your work here at AFS, is there one, is there maybe a particularly impactful moment that you can think of?
Yes. Um, back when I was a caseworker, over a decade ago, I had a client in our transitional housing program plus. So they were 21 or 22, I don't remember how old, but um, they had done some things that were, uh, they broke the law and went to jail, and we essentially kicked them out of our program. We prematurely exited them. Um, and I was upset about what this young person had done. Um, And frankly, I was kind of mad about it. I mean, just because you're a caseworker doesn't mean you're not going to have feelings about decisions or behavior or, like if you have a real relationship, then you might feel upset about the decisions that your client has made. And Patty, and at the time it was Jim Gold, her supervisor, we all were meeting about actually it was a group of kiddos who did this illegal thing together. And they said, Sophie, you need to go. They had moved somewhere else. You need to go talk to them. You need to go talk to this boy and say, um, here's what you need to do if you want to come back in our program. And I was like, why would we let this person back in our program? Are you guys what? After what they did? And they said, if this was your kid, would you never speak to them again? And I was like, well, no. And they're like, okay, well, then stop making it about you and go talk to them. Tell them they have to do these things if they want to come back in the program. So I did. And this person did all the things we asked them to do. They came back in the program. And we're one of the biggest success stories we've ever had. I mean, just a total 180. Um, I still, 10 something years later, just talk to this person and they're having a really great life. Um, and it was one of the sweetest relationships with a client I've ever had in my life. So I'd say that. I don't know if that was too much detail to put in there.
No, I don't. That was, um, yeah, I don't think so. But I appreciate your discretion in that, we don't, want to publicize anything too personal about anyone. So, but yeah, no, it's amazing to hear that kind of story. Um, I, maybe a question more for you. Is there anything surprising about you that people would not expect?
Oh, like it's like one of those questions of like, what's the fun thing about you? Oh. Uh, oh, I have Tourette syndrome. It's a neurological disorder. People probably know what Tourette's is by hearing people swear on TV. And I don't have it that badly, but I do have a significant case of Tourette syndrome. Um, so sometimes I'll share that with kids if they're feeling, oh, I don't want to be tested for, dyslexia or ADHD, like only weirdos have stuff like that or whatever. Um, kind of trying to normalize that we all have our quirks. We all have our little things.
Totally. Um, so my last question for today, if you were going to give one piece of advice to someone who is newly starting out in this field, what would you say to them?
I would say find a way to like every single client that you have. Tell yourself, um, I like this person. I just don't know why yet. And then find why. And if you can't like and or love every client, find a new job.
Appreciate that. It's great feedback and very honest feedback, which I think is helpful. There's a lot of not helpful and not honest feedback out there, so appreciate that. Well, Sophie, I appreciate your time today. Any anything else you'd like to add? Any final words of wisdom? Any final thoughts?
I think I'll leave it at that.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye.